I'm Marsalis Hammons, and I suffer from depression. First recognized that I was dealing with mental health issues probably around the time of 10th or 11th grade. Uh, in 11th grade, my dad passed away, and this took a toll on me more than I really knew. And my emotions started to change. I started getting just lashing out, had a lot of built up emotions and tension. And I started taking it out on those around me and also myself. It was a breaking point. My first experience with depression happened in high school. However, I wasn't going to counseling continuously. I would go through spurts, and this depression continued throughout my time in college. And when I was in college, I was alone more often than I was in high school. And I knew that if I didn't go get help on my own, then I was going to go down a path that I may not be able to come back from. There was times where in high school, I actually cut myself. And this was the first time of me like going to a hospital, going to the ward and like being on a floor where people are diagnosed with mental illnesses. And this was something that I experienced again in college when I hit a breaking point. And I went to the hospital, and I'll never forget, it was a time where, you have to check in and you have to let people know, let the health representative know like what's going on. And I was talking and he was asking me questions, and he just said like, why are you here? Like, you seem like you have everything going for you. You're on the right track. You have a good mindset. Why are you here? And at that moment, I understood that someone can have everything and it looks like everything's okay, but that doesn't mean that they're okay on the inside. There were times where in college where I knew I wasn't in the right place mentally, but I still had to function as if I was okay. I still had to get up and go to class. I still had to study for an exam. I still had to, you know, get up in the morning and brush my teeth. And it's simple things like that that sometimes when you are at a depressive state, you don't even feel like doing. I was very dependent on other people. I was like that person that wanted to go out, kick it, have a good time, laugh, make other people laugh. And I was so caught up in how others felt and how I was perceived by other people. And I was connected to a lot of people who didn't even know themselves, let alone what they wanted in life. Then I needed time away from certain individuals and certain groups and certain environments to really find out who I was. I actually didn't cope. I think that was the issue at first. I didn't have a coping mechanism. I just would lash out. I would go off and really had no control over my anger. But after a while, I understood that it was important for me to have an outlet and to express myself, whether or not it was something that I wanted to accept or not. And I love art, so I began to paint more. I began to do poetry and just be able to express myself through a more positive outlet. I take time to reflect and meditate on where I've come from and everything that I've been through, and knowing that I'm not that same person before, and using the lessons and the tools that I've been taught along the way to help me in that moment in time. I know, okay, well, this is what happened and this is what made me feel this way. So let me make sure that I take the necessary steps, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's having a conversation with an individual, whether it's writing, whether it's listening to music or praying. I can then take steps forward instead of feeling like I'm stagnant in my thoughts and reverting back to a depressive mindset. When I was in high school, it was more forced. It was recommended by um, some health representatives that talked to my mom after my dad passed and encouraged me to go. And at that point, I just felt like it was something that I had to do. I didn't really want to go there, but I also questioned, like, this person doesn't even know me. Like, why am I telling them my problems and my issues? And eventually I stopped going. I tried to go throughout college at points, and I kind of felt vulnerable. I felt like I had nothing left and this was just the last resort. But I also felt like, if I just go and talk to someone, that's not enough. Like, I have to be willing to put the work in outside of counseling. And then I didn't continue to go while I was in college. And then it was after college that I went and sought out a counselor on my own. And I actually had a different mindset and perspective, and it felt more effective. Me being able to accept me for who I am, and I understood who I was as a person overall a lot more than I did while I was in high school and college. So my mindset was just more mature, and I knew that I wanted to change my situation, and I was willing to do the extra work that it takes to do so. My counselor that really helped me was faith-based, and they were able to give me scripture and base all of their advice from scripture. And one thing that I'll never forget is that they told me you can't always control the thoughts that come to your mind, but you can control how long that they stay there. And for me, that helped me a lot, because sometimes we can see things that set us off, or we can hear things and it doesn't make us feel okay. But it's on us how long we meditate on that thought and how long or how much we let it consume us. At first, no, I didn't think that my family would be supportive. I actually didn't want to tell them or express to them the thoughts and the feelings I was having when it came to my mental health. But I understood that they only can see and understand as much as I allow them to. And I was kind of walking around with this shield up, trying to pretend that everything was okay. But when your family loves you and they truly know who you are, they can see things regardless if you try and let them know. So my mom and my grandma were very, very supportive when it came to my mental health. The three biggest women in my life are my mom, my grandma, and my aunt. And they just continuously let me know, like, we're here for you, and we know you're better than this. We know this isn't who you are, and we just want to make sure that you are doing what you need to do to better yourself. If I had to describe my journey in one word, it would be resilient. I've know what it feels like to be at a low, and I know what it feels like to be at a high. It's not about staying up here or being happy all the time, but it's being able to continue to persevere throughout any circumstance, and being able to acknowledge how I feel and make sure that I'm continuing to grow spiritually, mentally, and physically. When I go to counseling, I feel like, not to sound selfish, but it's all about me. I can truly talk to someone and tell them how I feel, and know that I'm not competing with anybody else's time or energy, that I can truly say what I need to say in a confidential space, and that individual is going to give the best informed advice or counseling to my situation. Me working on myself is an ever-going process. There should never be a day where it's like, okay, I'm done working on myself, I got it. I'm able to identify triggers that may change my mood. I understand the things that I can't associate with, or things that, just aren't healthy for me. And then when I do experience sadness or phases of depression, I'm able to journal. I'm able to express myself to, my significant other or my mom or people that love me and truly value my opinion. So those things that used to suppress me and feel like I'm trapped, now I'm able to express myself and let out those emotions, to where in the past I would just let it consume me. Our minds are like a garden, and we plant these seeds in our minds sometimes, and whether it's good or bad, it's going to grow the more you nurture it. So those bad thoughts, the more that you plant those seeds and you put energy into those bad thoughts, it's going to grow. And just in another aspect with positive thoughts, if you place positive thoughts in your mind and you nurture those thoughts, it's going to grow. So I just chose to put positive seeds in my mind, in my garden.